La segunda, ¿cuánto falta para que nos...
Para que entre.
¿Qué?
All right, welcome to another edition of Prime Parents. And I'm your host, welcome to another edition of Prime Parents, presented by yours truly, where I'm your host and the proprietor, as Shannon Sharp would say. I am Chico to the C, BiDogg to BiDogg, and we're here. We have another one, another special guest, should I say. We have two of them, and these two have their own very unique story, of course, to share. We're going to give a warm welcome in the chat, and for everybody listening internationally and nationally around the world, wherever, make sure y'all turn them up in the chats right now. Let them know. Let them show your appreciation. We have the parents of CU Buffs kicker Alejandro Mata in the building. Here we have Miss Nora and Mr. Alejandro Mata. How's it going? Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you, Chico. Thank you for hosting us. We're excited about this. It has been a journey, as you said, and we're looking forward to speak to you and let you know our story over the last few years.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining. Before we get into that journey, we'll talk about just the prime effect and everything going on right now. We see you guys in your prime jersey. You have your Alejandro Mata jersey on. Tell us, how has this been, this experience, this whole time? At least we'll just talk about Colorado right now with the prime effect and everything going on.
I'll go. Okay, so it's been, listen, it was late last year when Coach Bryant called me and let me know that, he wanted Alejandro to go with him to Colorado. That phone call to me was, first of all, was amazing because, you don't expect Coach Bryant to call you directly to your mobile like that, right? And when he did, it was like, whoa, and yes, Coach, of course, we support you. We love you. We want to be with you. You could take him whatever you need to wherever you want to. So it was a good talk, 5-minute talk, but it was great. And it was an opportunity for Alejandro to continue growing his kicking career and having a good place to continue studying. And both my wife and I were very excited for that opportunity. And it has been, to be honest with you, as expected. We know Coach Bryant from Jackson State is just the vibe, the energy, the leadership, everything around Coach Bryant is just awesome. And we are so blessed to be a part of this. Right?
Exactly.
Excellent. All right. So before we even move forward, we're going to step back really quick so that everybody listening in can get to know you guys, understand where you guys come from and your story. So let's talk about both your upbringing and your backgrounds and your story, so to speak.
Your story.
All right. So, I was
the
born
real one.
I was born in Panama. And I lived in Panama for the first 18 years of my life. My parents, my oldest brother, my two younger sisters, they still live in Panama. Just my brother and I moved to Atlanta. So I was born in Panama, and then I went to school in Tennessee, University of Tennessee. I went to school. I got my bachelor's in chemical engineering back in '97. And actually, on a side point, I graduated with Peyton Manning back then in Tennessee. So it was fun to watch him play all these years in Tennessee. But previous to that, I did my senior year of high school here in the U.S. So when I was in Panama, I didn't know any English. So my parents sent me to the U.S. to finish my high school. And I graduated in a small town called Madison, Maine, in high school. And that's when I played as a kicker for that high school team. I was the kicker for the high school team. We were state champs. That was in the state of Maine. I was a small town, Madison, Maine, and I was the kicker for them. And I had a blast. I learned how to kick a football. Never had kicked a football before, so that was fun. And then graduated from Madison High School. Went to Tennessee to get my bachelor's, and then I started working for a company, an English company, which I worked for 22 years in several countries. That's why we were in so many countries, right? I moved from the U.S. to Mexico. They promoted me into Mexico. That's when I met this young lady right here, the love of my life. I met her in Mexico just for a full year, and then I got transferred to Honduras. And then we were girlfriend and boyfriend for quite a while while I was in Honduras. So I was flying back to Honduras to see her once a month.
For 1 year, yeah.
And then we decided to marry.
He decided.
And we married in 2002, in June 29 of 2002. We got married. And then 2 years later, Mr. Alejandro was born in Honduras, San Pedro Sula, Honduras. And we were there with them. Then I got promoted back to Mexico. Spent some time in Dominican Republic, but I got sent back to Mexico. So Alejandro obviously went with us, and my two younger daughters were born in Mexico.
We lived in Mexico for 7 years.
You did in Mexico for 7 years. That's correct. And then I got promoted to another executive role in Brazil. So from Mexico, we went to Brazil and stayed about 3 years in Brazil before coming back to the U.S. back in 2016 as another promotion role with the company. So all this time, these 22 years of with this company I worked for, it was in these many countries, and obviously learned different cultures and different languages, and it was quite nice to have, right? And having my kids to learn both English and Spanish and Portuguese in Brazil was also quite nice to have. So yeah, that's an overall high level view of what my life looked like over the last 25, 26 years of my life. And we've been married since 2002. We've been married for 21 years. We were girlfriend and boyfriend for 2 years. We met on April 4th of 2000, about 8:20 at night on a soccer field. Yeah, it's a good love story. To be honest with you, we love each other really a lot, and we continue to have a great relationship, and we just really happy to have 3 wonderful kids, and living here in Buford, Georgia. That's where we live over the last 4 or 5 years.
Georgia. We're going to get to that. Miss Nora, can you tell us a little bit about your background in Mexico?
Well, I born in Mexico, and I didn't have idea to live in another country, actually. Until I born in Mexico. All my family is in Mexico until now. But I'm born and I grew up in Mexico City. I'm from Mexico City, and then I graduated in university. I study business administration in Mexico, and I start to work like my normal life until I met him. And I go, okay, let's go to in a group, a very good group of friends, and was amazing. No, we didn't know about our story. We didn't know what happened because we need to be transferred. So we didn't know in that moment that we need to be together or no. Let's see what happened. And was amazing he traveled every month to convince me.
Sure did.
And that is the story.
That is a love story that brought you guys through. What is that? What did I count? 4 different countries, including the U.S. 4 different countries.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
5,
5 with Dominican Republic.
Yeah. Yes. So, man, just like you said, learning different cultures, experiencing different cultures, and then you have your kids. And Alejandro is the first one. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, and he was born in Honduras, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. He was born in Honduras and lived there for about a year and a half, roughly, before we got moved back to Mexico.
Right. Then Mexico and Brazil. And so how has it been going to a place like Buford, Georgia?
Well, when we first moved from Brazil to the U.S., we actually moved to Albany, Georgia.
Okay.
We lived in Albany for about 3 years. We were going to Lee County schools.
Yeah.
Uh, they took us in really nicely. We started, getting to see my wife and my kids the American culture, because they never had it. They only been to Orlando, to Disney, and that's about it,
Okay.
right? So I was, I went to school here in the U.S. I lived in the U.S. for 10 years before I moved to Mexico. So I knew pretty well, and I really enjoy and love the culture here in the U.S. That's why I wanted my family to have a piece of it.
Mhm.
And they had obviously embraced it, and now they don't want to leave. They want to stay here, and we're having a great time. But yeah, it's just that when we moved from Brazil to Albany, it was a culture shock, to be honest. We were living in Sao Paulo, Brazil, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
one of the biggest cities in the world. We're
Yes.
living in a big old building, like 37th floor built, apartment, and really nice view to the city and stuff. And now you move into Albany, Georgia,
Yes.
right?
Small
So
town.
you know what I mean? The change
Yeah.
is huge, right? So we did that, and I was traveling a lot because of my job. But my kids, those first 3 years in the U.S., went to school in Lee County,
Mhm.
and that's when Alejandro really saw American football live for the first time, right? Because he had this school in Honduras a little bit, in Mexico had big school of soccer, and then Brazil. Brazil is the best in soccer, so all he saw was soccer. So by the time he came to the U.S., he was in a different level in terms of soccer. So he immediately got, he made the middle school team as a sixth grader. He was starting forward. He had skills. The kid had
Yeah.
big time skills. And then kicking like that, the way he always kicked so hard. He always kicked really hard since he was a kid. And that's when a coach in Lee County went like, wait a second, hey, you kind of kick the soccer ball
You're a
pretty
kicker.
good. Why don't you try this ball right here? And he
Yeah.
was like, yeah, sure. And bam, there he goes, right? And but his love is soccer. Obviously, he's been surrounded by it all his life, and that's how he got into the sport.
Wow. So, um, did with your background in the sport, did you kind of, preview him, kind of tell him about football a little bit, before even coming to America?
Oh yeah, he used to because I've been in fantasy football for many years, right?
Okay.
So he
A
always
big fan.
wanted to be, hey, what I want to do this, do that and stuff. So I started to show him the NFL teams and stuff. He never really seen any high school or college football.
Mm,
All he knew was the,
Professional.
right.
I remember when I bought him the Odell Beckham, jersey of the Giants, right?
Yes.
He was all excited about that, or the Russell Wilson jersey of the Seattle Seahawks, right? So he was like, "Oh, that's so cool," But he never really. We play in the streets, throwing the ball and stuff, but never had the chance to really put on the gear and kick a real football and stuff like that until we got to Albany, Georgia, which we had a blast in Albany. Honestly, it's a small town, but it was great place. People were nice to us. They embraced us really well. We love living in there, but we have to make the move to Atlanta because of my job. But we have enjoyed these 7 years in the U.S. so much, and we're not going to go anywhere either.
We are blessed with that.
Right. And so, in Georgia, of course, they have huge football, high school football, and college football traditions down there. So I'm sure that was eye opening seeing that and seeing how big it was, just for high school football games and things of that nature. How was that experience? Just seeing that thing and going through that in Georgia.
You want to say?
Go.
Okay. So, hey, man, Chico, this is amazing. But, Georgia, we didn't know much about high school football. I knew the UGA because they used to play Peyton back in the day, right? In football. So I knew UGA.
Right.
It wasn't as good as it is now.
Mhm.
UGA was, but I knew UGA, and I always like UGA. I didn't really like back then Alabama because that was the big rivalry with Tennessee was Alabama. But Georgia, I always like Georgia. Um, the interesting thing, Chico, when we moved to Albany from Lee County in Albany to Buford, we were looking for schools in Buford. We were looking for a good school for our kids because we thought education was the first thing, academics and stuff. And my brother lived in Atlanta way before me. He's been in Atlanta since the 80s.
Oh, nice.
And I asked him, hey, what's some schools in Georgia that we could go? And he literally said, the very first school, he said, I think you should go to Buford. That's what he said. And we went, we drove, we went to different schools in the Atlanta area. And at the end of the day, Buford was the best deal for us.
Mm-hmm.
So when we came that summer to Buford, they already had the football team in place and everything. And then, we went to visit the Coach App, which shout out to Coach App, which is one of the best high school football coaches in the nation. So we went to talk to him. Hey, coach, we just came in from Lee County. My son kind of knows how to kick. Would you give him a chance to? Oh man! And the coaches, Coach Davis, Coach, all of them were like, "Come on in, bring him."
Yeah,
we put him right in there. They already had a senior kicker, which great kid, Jaden became a mentor for Alejandro in that early year. But then that was a sophomore year of Alejandro. But then his junior and senior year, he was the starter of Buford football high school team, and he never looked back after that. He just he doesn't miss.
And state championships followed, right?
He got 3 state championships in a row. The first one he wasn't the main kicker; he was the backup kicker. But as a junior, as a senior, he was the main kicker, and one of those state champs went to overtime, and because of his field goal, they won that state champs. So he got 3 rings. I probably have them here somewhere. Yeah. He got 3 rings, beautiful rings he's just a winner. He's just a blessed kid, and we're so happy to have such a wonderful kid together with our daughters.
Most definitely. So from Buford, he did his thing there. 3 championships. You can't ask for too much more, and a game winner also. I think I saw that one on the film that he posted back in the day. So all of a sudden, first let me rewind because I see some questions in here. Let me rewind. Sorry. How did and I think you kind of answered it, but for the questions in the chat, how did the transition from soccer to football happen? I know you said the coach said something to him coming in, knowing that he's a soccer player, and with your football background. How did that happen? Was it an easy transition for him? Did you have to convince him, or did he already know, hey, soccer is not very huge here, I might have to transition to football?
Hey, he joined a soccer team, club team. He was playing for the middle school, and he joined a club team, Atlanta. I think it's called United. UFA, United Football Academy, United of South Georgia. It was a travel team, so we used to go to Atlanta and play. And the kid was enjoying it. He loved that. He really loved playing soccer until today. I think you ask him, he's gonna go, "Yeah, let's go and play."
Yeah, right?
And he's very skilled on that. But when they made the transition, when that coach in Lee County recognized him, like, "Hey, this kid got potential," he kicked that ball and he said, "You know what? I like this sport. I really like doing this too, And so he started going with both at the same time. Yeah. And then, it became evident that the way you kick the soccer is different than the way you kick the football. It's a different place, a different way of laying and stuff like that. So it was because of the mentoring and coaching that he received from coaches that he went to kicking coaches. They told him, "Listen, you might have to slow down on soccer if you want to be serious about football."
Yeah.
And that's the direction we went. I know he loved soccer a lot, but he knew that,
the passion
exactly that he has about football, about being a part of something special, and he lived that in Buford and then in Jackson State, and now he's living in Colorado. He's just this thing that he has gone through every year over the last 5 years or more, because in soccer he was also winning championships and things like that. So he's been so blessed with being surrounded with really good people, with good
A family. This is
Yeah,
a bubble
kind of like
family. Yeah.
it's just I don't know, Chico. We've been blessed with people being so nice to us wherever we have been, man. It's just really nice. In Jackson State,
Oh,
man, those people are the best, man. They
Yeah.
were
thank you.
so
Thank you for
sweet.
all the people. Absolutely.
People in Jackson State
Another
were
mother for
so
my
sweet,
son.
man,
Yeah.
and they love Alejandro so much and stuff. And now in Colorado, they embracing him. I see the people how they talk to him after the game, how they want to take pictures with him,
Mhm.
and how humble he is, and how he's cool as a cucumber, like
He is. You can tell. And he is definitely a fan favorite since Jackson State. Before going to Jackson State, of course, he had to get a call from Coach Prime. Talk about his recruitment coming out of high school. Was he highly recruited? Was he overlooked? And then the call comes from Coach Prime. How did that happen?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chico. He had some small schools offers, about 3 or 4 of them. Nothing big, nothing huge.
Mm-hmm.
But when the Jackson State call came in to Buford, they called Coach Davis, which is a running back coach in Buford. He pulled Alejandro out of the classroom. Hey, I got somebody want to talk to you and stuff. And Alejandro took that call, and then they invited us for that official visit. I remember it was in November. It was a Saturday because we play football. They play in the playoff. Before playing the playoff on that Friday, Alejandro hit a nice 49-yard, beautiful field goal that day. And the next day, me and him went flying back went to Jackson State. And interesting enough, I didn't know Tracy Sanders was sitting right next to me on the airplane. I didn't know,
Oh
but
wow.
I saw the 21 there. It's like, whoa, very pretty
Really?
lady and stuff. But it was like, and my son was next to me as well. So it's like, wow, that's related. But it kind of got me thinking, wow, this is serious right here. This is
Yeah.
so we went to that the official visit on that Saturday with a bunch of different kids getting recruited, and then the next day on Sunday we met with Coach Prime, and we literally had breakfast with him. It was Coach Prime, myself, and Alejandro, and I met him. And I couldn't help myself giving him a hand and say, Coach, I follow you through an NFL, man. You are the GOAT, the very best defensive back ever in the NFL. I mean, I told him everything. And then he started talking to Alejandro. He's like, listen, we're struggling field in kicking special teams this year. We want to get somebody that we could guarantee would do good and stuff. We think that you could be the guy for us and stuff. And obviously, after hearing all that stuff, Alejandro went like that. I don't mind going to Jackson State at all. I don't mind that either. I love
Right.
Coach Prime. Let's go for it.
Also, any type of because moving to Buford, Georgia, how was the Latin community or Mexican community there in that area?
In Buford or in Jackson?
In Buford.
Well, here in Buford, there's a pretty big number of people that are Hispanic descent.
Yeah.
In Buford, I would say probably I think the ethnicity is like I think it's like 25 to 30% Hispanics.
Nice.
Something like that
Yeah.
in Buford. Yeah,
Mhm.
not too bad at all. And but a lot of the kids don't speak Spanish. A lot of these kids speak English as first language and stuff. We at least at home with my 3 kids, with Alejandro as well. When he go home, he knows we're gonna be talking Spanish at home.
Yeah.
Whenever we go out, we speak English, right? But at home, that's all we do is Spanish to make sure they keep those 2 languages in
Yeah.
them. But yeah, we in Buford there was it's a pretty good size amount of Latinos in Buford. In Jackson State, not as much.
Right.
Not as
I was
much.
gonna say in Jackson State, totally different.
Yeah.
They don't have that. I would even say like in Buford, you might have a Fiesta type shopping center, for the Hispanic community. But in
Yeah.
Jackson, I don't think you see any of that, right?
Hey, not that many, to be honest with you. But like I said, people, when I was sitting on the stadium watching him, kicking stuff, and then they asked me, "Who's your son?" And, oh, he's the kicker, Mata. Mata, oh,
Yeah.
and everybody became a family and right next to me, and I mean, I felt the love
The
with those
love,
people.
that Southern hospitality,
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
definitely down there in Jackson,
oh
Mississippi.
yeah. It was awesome. Great
And for
experience.
me, for mom was the most important in that part because
Mhm.
for me, I remember that Alejandro started to tell me when he was 12 or 13 years, Mom, are you ready? I need to go living when I'm graduated.
Uh-huh.
What? No, no, no. Don't say it's 4 years. Mom, the next year. It's only 3 years, you with me. What? No, Alejandro, you need to be studying here in Georgia. I don't want to go anywhere. So
Right.
when arrived that big opportunity for me, like, oh my goodness, Jackson is 6 hours away.
Mhm.
Is I'm very close to my kids. Usually I that part is I don't work for that because I love to stay with my kids. And was like, oh my goodness, is too far for me. It's another state.
Yeah.
And I don't know nobody that is called like, hey, please take care of my son because he's my oldest son.
Mhm.
No? But when we arrived was amazing and thank you like a mom for that, for to take care of my son was the most important for me with the coaches. I told myself with the coaches, okay, I'm worried about that. I don't know if my son, please tell me that it's a good opportunity. I understand that, but I need to be sure that he's fine. Okay,
Right.
worries, mom. It's with Coach Prime and nothing most important than that. So thank you all the people in Jackson that I feel
Shout
that.
out to those people.
Yes, yes.
Much love to Jackson, Mississippi, and the surrounding areas, and the whole HBCU family that really showed love to Alejandro Mata and his family, and
Yeah.
continue to show love.
Yeah.
So
True.
Yes.
that little bit of that separation anxiety, I guess I could say, how has it been now? Because he's moved further west, and but he's still with Coach Prime. You still have that kind of like that security blanket, someone
Yeah.
you can call on, someone you know that's going to take care of your son. Um, how has that been? And did you even consider possibly moving from Buford, Georgia, or from Georgia to Colorado?
Hey, Chico, unfortunately, I promised my daughters and my wife because we move a lot over the
Yeah.
years, right? And I told them, listen, this is our last move. I promise you will graduate from Buford High School. So I gotta stick to that promise. But certainly, it run through my head about, man, I would love to move to Boulder, be
Sometimes
close.
yes, sometimes no.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, but no, we're here in Buford. We're gonna be in Buford. It's far. I'll be honest with you. I tried to see the driving of it. It's like 20 hours, so I don't think so. And
Yeah.
then the flight is 2.5 hours roughly, but they get expensive pretty quick. Those
Mhm.
flights over there. So we're trying to be there for him as much as we can. It's sometimes difficult because the expenses and stuff, but certainly is farther from us. However, as my wife said, the fact that he's with Coach Prime makes a big difference
Yeah.
because we truly believe I believe St.
Mhm.
Jackson
Right.
State.
That's
we,
right.
we believe St. Jackson State, eyes closed, we know who's Coach Prime, we're fine, and he is fine. I know that he's fine.
Hey, that might be another slogan right there for recruiting. With Coach Prime, we're fine.
Yeah.
There you go. Give him another hint there.
And we are fun too.
Yeah. Um, going back, I just did an interview with Caleb Mathis' mom, and she talked about staying engaged with her son throughout the college process, not really trying to be overbearing, but still staying engaged to kind of keep him on track. How has the transition from high school to Jackson State to Colorado been as far as academically for Alejandro, and how have you guys stayed in touch with him and engaged?
No,
Margot? Okay.
I follow
So,
you.
yeah, Alejandro and I, this is my first son, right? My only son. We have a really tight relationship, very tight relationship from he was a baby. When he was born that day, I was there with him crying, holding him.
Mm-hmm.
We're always been very tight to the day. We literally text or talk every day. And he knows my first question every time I ask, hey, how's school?
Mm-hmm.
How's school? Because he knows,
Yeah.
regardless of what his plan is in the future, or wants to go to the league, which I'm good with. hey, academics, make sure you continue. And I never had an issue with Alejandro. He was a good kid. Even before we came back to the U.S., he always had good grades. And he's very responsible with that. You're going to hear him talking about responsibility. He's very responsible about it. And he continues to do well in school. But I cannot help as parent ensuring, hey, how's school doing? How's it doing? Because I want to make sure that he understands from my point of view that school is first, right?
Yes.
So it has been a smooth transition in that aspect. He has done really well in Buford. He done really well in Jackson State, and he's done really well in Colorado as well. So he's majors in communication. So you might see him one of these days doing the same thing you're doing.
Yes, nice. That'll be cool. I think he'll be a natural at it also. So
listen, you saw him, you met him. He's a humble kid. He's down to earth, very casual. That's what we teach at home. You treat people the same way, regardless if it's Joe Biden or the janitor of the school. Exactly. Everybody's human, man. We treat everybody the same, man, and that's the way it should work.
And I think that he has a big capacity to adaptation, because I don't know, maybe it's a good option to live in another countries, and this is a good thing about the adaptation. You know,
it's a good point.
Yeah, because he doesn't matter the school, doesn't matter the people, doesn't matter. He's adapting and everything, and he survived, and he's more than expected all the time. So he's a very good kid.
That's a good point. I think that's a good point, Chico, because when you live in different countries with different culture, different people, you tend to see the world different. Right. Instead of just seeing this all your life, you seeing like this.
Yep.
So I think that's a very good point, and that Alejandro has that in him, that is easy to adapt in wherever he has been to.
Right. Being able to adapt. And like you said, that comes from being traveling all around. Like you said, not having those blinders on, that tunnel vision. You get to have your whole peripheral open to see the world from a different perspective. I saw in the Reach the People media video where he said, Darius asked about how your parents feel. And he said that my dad said I'm living his dream.
Do I know?
And I understand why he said it. I didn't realize you had a football background, but I definitely understand why he said that. Now, if you saw that, how did you feel when he said that I think I'm living my dad's dream?
Well, he said that is funny because I actually had told him before, like, son, man, when he was in Jackson State, he had a good game. He was the MVP at the Southern Heritage game last year, right, where he kicked this, I think it was 3 or 4 field goals, and they won the game. So it was a really tight game against Eddie George's team in Memphis.
NC State, yep.
Yeah, so they gave him, I think it's this one. They gave him this FedEx MVP award.
Nice.
Because of that game. And after that game, he got interviewed and all this stuff. And I talked to him that night. Obviously, we talk after every game. And I told him, son, you living my dream, man. And I think he remembered that, and he hold on to that. But I'm pleased that he's living my dream. I mean, I love it. I think he deserves it. He's such a good kid.
Amazing. I love it. Let me see. I know we have some questions coming in. Can you tell us about your current family right now? I know you mentioned your 2 daughters also. Can you speak about them a little bit? And how have they possibly
maybe
okay.
They are here somewhere in the house. No, they're great. Listen, this is an interesting thing. My daughter Valeria, she's a sophomore in high school. Buford has its very first flag football team this year ever.
Yeah.
Very first flag football team. And Valeria, as a sophomore, she got soft hands. She's a great receiver. So she made the varsity team for the first year, the flag football team. There they come. That's Valeria. And Alessa is a good basketball and softball player. So here they are.
Nice.
Hey.
This is the flag football girl. This is my little baby.
He's Chico.
That's Chico right there.
Chico.
How you guys doing? How has Big Brother been doing so far at Colorado?
Well, we miss him. I told him I didn't want him to go, but whenever he comes, he drives me everywhere though, so I kind of like that.
And he's okay with Coach Prime, right? How do you guys like Coach Prime?
I love him. I love him so much, bro.
All right. Well, keep up the good work. I hear about you guys being great athletes, so keep up the good work. Good to meet both of you.
Good to meet you too.
Me too.
Thank you. Let's see here. Where can we move it to? We have some questions. We'll get to the questions in a second. We talked about JSU, Colorado, Coach Prime, and soccer to football and everything like that. I'm going to find some questions. Any advice you guys can give to parents out there who have young kids who are looking to be athletes and college athletes, but they might not have those scholarships coming in as of right now? What advices would you give to them as far as just trying to get to that next level?
So one thing that I think was really interesting, Alejandro, again, he has a good work ethic, right? And he won so many awards over these last 5 years. He was first team All-State in Georgia. He was Specialist of the Year, Kicker of the Year. All these things that he has won, he earned them with performance, right? But it wasn't as easy as that. Obviously, you got to put in the time, right? So not only in practice, but outside practice as well, you got to put in the time. You got to put the effort. You gotta always give a little bit more, get a little sacrifices in order to really, kind of step ahead or show up, Chico. So many of the things that I did with Alejandro, we went to different not soccer, but kicking camps, like kicking football camps. Yep. So we went to a lot of Chris Saylor's camps. We went to Las Vegas. We went to Charlotte. We went to Atlanta. He won one of those camps as a kicker. He got second place in Las Vegas with 500 kickers. So he had this type because, he don't miss. It's because he got that for a reason, right? He's very accurate. He doesn't have the longest leg, but he's very accurate, and that kept him, getting better and getting better. And he continues to work on his game. He doesn't stop there, right? So I would say an advice for parents is, if you really want your kids to get an athletic scholarship and stuff, you gotta put in the time with them. You don't just drop them in school, drop them in practice, and let them do whatever. Hey, if you had to go to Vegas with them, you go. If you had to go, you go. And be there with him and put that time in order for them to really step, notch a little bit better and compete in a different level, right? So I guess that's my advice, Chico.
And like our parents all the time supports. We don't lose any game of our kids, even with our daughters. All the time, we want to see all the time the games.
We support fully athletics. We support. I think it's the best thing to keep kids involved into athletics. I was very athletic when I was a kid. My wife was too. So we know how important it is to keep them, into sports. I think it's very important. That doesn't mean that they're going to be a major star someday, but at least they got a good formation into the future, right? With these things. Yeah.
Just like even Coach Prime say, everybody won't be a professional athlete, but you can be a professional in life. And
absolutely.
Exactly. In your career.
Sir. So, you got it.
Sports will help you keep that focus, keep you, being responsible, keep you accountable. All these things will help you grow in life also. So
spot on.
I like what Coach Prime does with that. I had a question here. Where was it?
That's all right.
Gosh. I will ask this though, because I can't find my question. I'll get back to it in a second. I will ask this though. With him being in Colorado, coming in with that competition, because I saw you mention competition. He coming in not given that starting spot, but coming in having to compete with another kicker, or should I say several other kickers also, who might be deemed better than him. He's coming from Jackson State. He might just like they thought about Shadur and some of the players. Hey, they played at HBCU. they won't be able to really do it on the Power 5 level. But now you see Mata come in the last game, continue to do his thing. How does he stay focused? And this was my question, God, sorry. Where does that accuracy come from? Just is that natural? And how does he stay focused, even with being the quote unquote backup and coming in and do his thing?
Yeah, so this is really an interesting question, but to me, it's very simple, to be honest, Chico. Because I know Alejandro, and we lived through so many moments with him, from soccer all the way to football in Lee County, and then in Buford. He just think about this. This kid is 16 years old, kicking a field goal to win state champs in front of 5,000 people. And you see him on TV, cool as a cucumber. I mean, cold veins. The kid he has that. So when we went to Jackson, we were fine. It was a lot more people. I think one day we had 60,000 people in that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And Alejandro, I mean, no, it's like he's focused, laser focused. He blocks that noise, and he wham in the Southern Heritage that he hit that many. In Miami, his first game in college at the Miami Dolphin Stadium, he kicked that field goal. It was like a 40-yard field goal. It was his very first college kick, and he looked so smooth. So, hey, I'm doing the job here.
Yeah.
He has that in him. He has that calmness, that cold veins type of thing. That's why he performs under pressure. That's one of the edge he has over other kickers. He has that under pressure. I could kick this, no problem.
No problem.
Just like he did in Colorado State, right? He came in, he got those 2 kicks in.
Yep.
I knew he was making them in because I know the kid. He just don't miss, like he said, right? So he has that in him, that cold vein, the laser focus. He was very accurate in soccer. Don't get me wrong. He was very good at kicking the ball and from outside. He was very good at that too. Besides kicking hard, he could put the ball in the right place too. So he had that in him. But what I love about him is how cool he is. You could be talking to him right now. He could be kicking right now. It's the same attitude, same cold guy. Mm-hmm. Hey, I mean, I'm doing my business. That's all I'm doing. Taking care of business. And that's why I think Coach Brown loved him so much too, that he's very consistent, across the board.
Even kill, as Coach Prime said, almost like he explains about Shedeur Sanders. Nothing gets him up too high or too low. He kind of stays right there. And that's what makes him him,
Right. And this experience, Chico, like I say, in high school, in Jackson State, kicking in front of that many people, other kickers don't have that type of experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as easy as it looks, when you kick in front of that many people, right?
Definitely not.
So that's the mental part that comes in and plays with you, but he's so mentally tough, that it's just enjoy to watch him play.
So he's earned the nickname Automatica and Mata Don't Miss. These come from, and of course at Jackson State, the only 2 that he had, if I'm not mistaken, I saw pretty much every kick, were 2 that were blocked, and that comes from blocking up front. He can't do anything about that. Same thing happened in the spring game in Colorado, and then I think the one that happened here. It all comes from blocks. So if you have a kicker that's the only misses coming from blocks, then I'll take that each and every day, and I'll get my line straight up there on the front. I'll deal with that.
Absolutely.
So
every time he get a chance, he'll deliver. Yeah.
Yes. So, but that is a tough name to have. Mata Don't Miss. Does that put added pressure on him? But it seems like he embraces it. Yeah.
Exactly, Chico. It doesn't face him. He's like, I know how to do this. I'm not gonna miss this year. He mean it.
Right.
So.
I remember in a championship in one of the 2. I don't know. Can you imagine that moment, the final, that he was kicking, and I was like this, sitting in my seat like this. I can see this. I know that pressure on me.
Right.
And he's like, no, I need to film this. And he was, every family was very excited with that. And okay, you tell me, you tell me. I was super nervous.
She couldn't even see it.
Exactly.
And I was having a blast filming him. Oh my
Right.
God, this is gonna be awesome. Just like in the bowl game in December last year for Jackson State, that he had to kick that PAT to go to overtime. He had to, it's a simple PAT,
Yeah.
but still you gotta kick it in.
A lot of people fold under that pressure right there. We've
Right.
seen a lot of PATs missed in that situation.
Right.
And after the game, my husband told Alejandro, like, hey, your mom even can see nothing because was very nervous. And only he told me, Mom, you trust in me. You need to trust on me. Okay.
Nice.
Oh my goodness. Until that day, he's like, yes, I need to trust in you. I trust in you. And I don't, after that moment, I can see anything. Yes, he's my son. No, you know.
Still confident. Still confident.
Very
Right there, man. Goodness gracious. So, and then he's not. You see some tall, big, strong leg kickers, so to speak, and you know, he comes in and competes against some of these guys. He just doesn't see him, you know, phased at all. You know, 5 foot 8, 180 pounds, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he also said something about some smaller kickers in the league that he kind of look after or look up to. Martin Gramatica was one of them. Talk about him learning and just looking up to some of the kickers. Did you put him on to some of the NFL kickers, or did he just learn about these guys as he grew up?
No, he has when he grew up, he wasn't really much thinking about kicking at all in footballs, because he only saw the actual kicking when he came here to the US 7 years ago. So he liked the ODB, right, and Russell Wilson and all these big names, right? So kicking wasn't a thing until he became a kicker. Then when he became a kicker, he started following Justin Tucker. He likes Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
He thinks he's the GOAT. He said, well, son, is that who you want to follow? Absolutely. But guess what? When we live in Buford, and Morton Anderson.
I saw a picture with him. He went to his camp, right?
So he lived in Buford.
Yeah.
So one day, Coach gave him his phone number, and I told him, hey, go Coach, talk to Morton. He could give you a few tips. And Morton said, you know what? I'm going to meet you at the field right now. Let's go. So that was like, whoa, So Morton came into the field, and I was there with him.
That's like one-on-one training. That's not a camp. That's one-on-one.
Exactly. He gave him a few tips that day. He was so awesome. He came and say hello and then give him a few tips. I remember Morton when he played for the Saints or the Falcons. He had a leg, right? And
for a long time.
Exactly. So he lives here, and he took the time to talk to Alejandro back in high school and doing this thing. Those are little things like that you go, wow, man. He's in embracing this opportunity, getting to hear people with a lot of experience like that to help him, guide him, and become a better kicker, And he continued to work on his game. He's not done, believe me. He continues to work on his game. Yeah. He continued to improve. He knows he got improving several things, and he's working on it to do his goal in the future to play in the NFL. But we'll take one day at a time.
One day at a time. Well, he's definitely on the right track to get there by doing what he's doing so far. He's going to get more and more opportunities with Coach Prime and his offense coming up to continue to do his thing. We'll go real quick to a question that I did have. Morals, your family morals. What are some family morals that you kind of instilled in him that hopefully he's living by to this day?
Los morales, los valores de la. You want
to
take that one? Go ahead.
No, for me, it's the most important. I'm very, like I said, very close to my family, and the values for me, the respect, the discipline, to think in another person first. Mm-hmm. We are Catholics too, so we try to do the right things. And we think a lot in consequences. We think and we talk about in our table of the dinner, we talk about the consequences about good things and bad things. If you study, you can be perfect in your test. if you have a bad decision about this, you have a bad consequences about that.
Right.
So it's only 5 seconds to think about consequences, about the all the time the truth, or the to be honest, on the very important to values in is part of the rules of our house. Yeah.
And that goes in line with you said that it kind of goes into line with Coach Prime said, don't let 5 seconds or 5 minutes of pleasure ruin, your life
Your
for a
life.
lifetime. You know what I mean? So those values and morals goes right in hand with this head coach. So perfect. We're 50 minutes after the hour right now. We're less than 10 minutes to go. Let's see if we can find some good questions right
Yeah,
quick.
absolutely, absolutely. Bring them, bring them.
Let's see.
I see.
Recap. Go ahead. What do you see? Go ahead.
No, I see. There's family from Panama watching this. Family
Oh.
and friends from Mexico also in line, and seeing a lot of comments and stuff. And it's just great support. We got great families, man. Back home in
Yes, thank
Panama,
you.
in Mexico, and my family here in the U.S. as well. They've been so supportive. And I'm not talking about Maras or the Vargas. I'm talking about family that has become family of ours here, that has embraced us, that those friends that are really family now to us. They've been so nice. It's just nice to be a part of something special and continue to live in a beautiful country like the U.S.
Right. How did he arrive at an HBCU? I think we answered that earlier briefly. You can go ahead and answer that really quickly.
Yeah, we arrived here because Alejandro got recruited at a high school. Coach O called him in Buford, and we went and visited an unofficial visit, and then spent some time with Coach Prime, and the rest is history.
Yo Creole, I believe, said, how did the parents feel about meeting Coach Prime for the first time at Jackson State?
I was the only one with my son then when we had breakfast. I think I mentioned earlier, the very first thing, I couldn't help myself. Coach, I'm a big fan. I follow, I had to tell him the whole thing, But I tell you what, I did like what Coach Prime did. Again, and such an awesome guy that he did. The first game in TCU in Dallas, we went to see the team at the hotel. And my wife went with me to Dallas to watch that game. And we went to the hotel, right? So we went there. And we were coming in, and Coach Prime was sitting over there. And we're coming in, my wife and I were saying hello to other coaches and players. And Coach Prime saw us. He got off that table that he was sitting on, and he walked to us and gave us a hug. And he went, "The Maras," and he gave us a hug like that to both of us. I thought that was really nice going across people like that, and he laser focusing on us, going, "The Maras," and gave us a hug, and hugged my son, and I love this kid right here, and we know how he feel about Alejandro, and it's just one of these things little things that he does that you go, man,
he didn't have to do that, and I feel special that he did do it.
We're in the right place, I guess.
Right.
And for me, like a mom, in that moment, he said, "I love your son like my son." So for me, it's like like I said, I'm very close to mom. It's like, okay, it's our son.
Yes.
a share son.
Right. That weight comes off your shoulder. That worry kind of leaves away because you know that he's going to treat him just like his own son.
Absolutely.
I like. There was a clip that went viral, of course. I'm sure you remember this one with the C Senor, and where Coach Prime had him come up and speak in Spanish and translate what he was saying and say, "Give me my theme music." When you saw that go viral, man, did you get a lot of phone calls? How did that change?
Let me tell you a story about that, Chico. Let me tell you a story about that because this is interesting. That was the first game of Alejandro had, which was at the Miami Dolphins Stadium, at the Hard Rock Cafe Stadium, right?
Yeah.
Against Florida MAU, right? FU. So we were there at the game, and we were waiting outside for the players to come out. That thing that happened just happened, right? And he went outside to visit with us, right? So he's talking to us, like, hey, giving us a hug. We're taking pictures, people taking pictures with him. We're watching as always and stuff. And then he goes, "Oh, by the way, I just had a thing there in the locker room. You might see it later on." Just like that. This
Right.
I just had this thing with Coach Prime in locker room. You might see something later on. Like, no
Like it's
big
just a little
deal.
small thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And we're like, okay, yeah, sure. And then we didn't see anything on that until the day after. I think it was, right?
Yeah.
That thing went viral and people started calling, "Did you see Alejandro? Did you see this?" I was bombarded in texting and WhatsApp, and we were like, "What happened?" And then and we started laughing. And I called Alejandro and say, "Son, is that what you mean by this little thing that happened? Are you kidding me?" You translated to Coach Prime, and the
Right.
way you translated was awesome. I really enjoyed that, man. So
Wow.
that was one of those interesting stories that, again, he's so humble, so poised, down to earth that those things are okay with him. Nothing big. He doesn't take it to his head or anything like that. He's just a good kid. Thank God.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you to do something. I just thought about this. I'm going to ask you to do something kind of like that. I'm going to ask you to translate to all of my listeners in Panama, in Honduras, anybody in Latin America or Hispanic background, speak whatever it is. If you can understand, let them know and translate for me and say, everybody out there, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to BiggDogg Chico's channel. Let's try that.
Hey, gente, amigos, familia, todos los que están escuchando, que están con nosotros aquí ahorita, asegúrense de ponerle un me gusta y sigan a nuestro gran amigo Chico, que es una gran persona y nosotros lo seguimos también. Does that work?
Sir, I think that gracias. I don't want to sound too. My name is Chico, but I speak no English. And my father, or no Spanish. I'm sorry, I speak all English. My father named me after one of his military partners who was actually Hispanic. I don't know exactly what country he came from, but he used to always tell me about him. And my name is Chico Rodriguez. And my last name is Cleveland, of course, but my middle name and my first name is a Spanish name. So
oh wow,
it's good to know that.
That's cool,
that's
Chico.
my real name.
So you got Chico in you then.
Yeah. So shouts out to my pops on that one. And next thing, I just need to learn some Spanish, and other than que pasa and
¿Qué pasa?
yeah. So once again, I really appreciate you guys coming on and having this conversation lightheartedly. I'm sure I had some comments that people are going to say, "Man, I didn't get my question answered," but it's so many coming through right now. I don't want to waste
Maybe
too
we'll
much
do it
time.
again sometime in a few
Yeah.
months.
Yeah, we can catch up anytime. Maybe we have a big moment here to catch up and talk about some things and just move forward from there. So I appreciate you guys' time. Anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Well, just saying hello again. I know family is there watching. Saludos a todos. Un abrazo. We love you all. Thank you for joining us. And Chico, thank you for the invite. I think it was great. We love it.
And thank you for the big
again.
support for Alejandro.
Yeah, thank you all for
yes.
supporting a good. That's mom right there.
Yes.
Thank you all for supporting Alejandro. He's having a blast over there, and he continued to be the guy. He don't miss.
And we wait for you here in Atlanta. Here's your house.
There you go.
You hear that, right? Oh, I'm coming.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you so much once again. I really appreciate this. We'll try to catch up with you guys coming soon. Hopefully we'll cross paths in Boulder or somewhere one of these games, and we can officially meet ourselves. So once again, we have the Matas right here, Ms. Nora and Mr. Alejandro, checking in for their son, Alejandro Mata, Mr. Automatico. Don't miss. So the kicker for the Colorado Buffs, y'all stay tuned. We got more prime parents coming for you guys. Thanks again, and we out of here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.